GT2 M4 has had an interesting time of it. Whereas previous generations of the M3 Coupe have always been champions of their class, this really hasn't been undisputedly top of its tree. There's been the usual assault from Mercedes with the C63, but also this time we've had the wonderful Alfa Giulio Quadrifoglio to contend with. As a result, BMW has seen fit to bring out this, the M4 Competition Pack. I think the first thing to say is that this is staggeringly good value. It's only £3,000 more than a standard M4, and for that you get a huge amount of kit.
We'll get to the main hardware changes in a moment, but your £3,000 or just under $5,000 also gets you a car that looks like a serious upgrade over the standard spec. For a start, you get the Shadowline exterior trim, which means all the moody gloss black bits. I particularly like the badge on the boot. The larger 20-inch wheels obviously have a dynamic impact, but the GTS Aping's star-spoke design is a serious step up in curb appeal too. Inside you get the rather attractive and very comfortable M Sport seats, complete with rather striking cutouts. This particular car has lots of optional carbon, including the brakes, identified by the single gold tooth of a caliper glinting in each arch. This individual paint colour, by the way, is ruby red metallic.
You also get a sports exhaust now, those lovely black finishes on the tailpipes. But while it sounds good on start-up and grumbling around town, it's still not exactly a sonorous musical note further up. You can see what I mean? All of that on its own would probably be worth £3,000. I mean, BMW's not known for giving away its options, so it seems like a bargain already.
But BMW has worked on the engine too, with a slight change to the cylinder head releasing an extra 19 brake horsepower, taking the total up to 444 brake horsepower, and dropping the 0 to 62 mph time by a tenth to just 4 seconds. Torque has stayed the same, which is probably a good thing, as its 406 pounds-foot of turbocharged wallop was already more than enough for the rear wheels. To me, it feels like BMW has also managed to map a bit more linearity into the way the 3-litre straight six delivers its figures, which is a very good thing.
So fast this car still. It's extraordinary how quick these cars have got. Perhaps most importantly of all though, BMW's changed the suspension. So new springs, new dampers, new anti-roll bars, all to help curb what were slightly wayward kinematics, particularly over big bumps. Has it worked? Yes. I've seen some reviews that say that the ride quality might not be quite as good around town now, but where it matters out on the open road, the M4 just feels much more secure and better tied down, no longer hopping and skipping over those big impacts.
Where previously the car could get rather pogo-y over large bumps, now it feels much more faithful. We obviously had fairly changeable weather conditions in Wales, as you can see, but while the M4 still needs to be treated with caution in the wet, it wasn't quite the scary predicament it's been in the standard guise. M Dynamic Mode is BMW's halfway house for stability and traction controls. Think of it as the equivalent of staying in a cage while you dive with sharks, and it feels more restrictive than I remember. If you turn the DSC all the way off and decide to cuddle great whites, so to speak, the M4 Competition Pack will still step out of line pretty smartly, but I found it was much more predictable than before, generating greater traction and giving more confidence, perhaps partly thanks to the new configuration work on the Active M differential.
Don't get me wrong, it hasn't changed the fundamental nature of the M4. It still feels like a really, really aggressive car. The steering's meaty, a little bit corrupted still, not the most natural feeling helm, but so much more aggressive than either the Mercedes or the Alfa. Whether that's a good thing or not will just depend on how you like your cars served up. Me, I sort of crave a bit of the pliancy that you used to have in the old E46, even in the CSL. Drive one of those today and they just flow down the road. The M4 GTS as well has a pliancy to its suspension that this and the standard car just don't quite have. I do still love the M4 though. It might have its challenges, but it's such an entertaining, such an aggressive car, such a distinctive car to drive. If you like this feeling, you won't get it from the C63 or the Alfa, so the M4 definitely still has its place.
As you can probably tell, I really enjoy this car. Over the few days I had access to it, I actually found myself making excuses to go and spend more time in the driver's seat. Anyone got some spare chewing gum? I would holler to an empty house. Nope. Oh well, I'll just pop to the garage in the M4 again then. Speccing the competition pack seems like an absolute no-brainer if you're buying an M4 or M3.